Today we're going to be talking about BS detectors. The need for an extremely accurate bullshit meter has never ever been more necessary than our current culture. Investors, business people, politicians, your friends on social media, the talking heads of news media, and the people you do day-to-day interactions with are running scams more than ever on scales big and large. And if you aren't acutely aware of this and how to deal with it, then you are inevitably going to find yourself a sucker at some point. But today you are extremely lucky because I'm going to help you sort this out just a little bit. A strong BS detector is just lazy slang for critical thinking, and I know everyone thinks they're great at critical thinking. No one thinks of themselves as gullible, and who would want to admit, yeah, I'm vulnerable to getting conned? No one. But cons happen every single day, and some of them are even socially acceptable. From Bitcoin scams, Ponzi schemes, the daily accepting and spreading of fake news, the entire chiropractic industry, every Herbalife representative, or just your successful friend posting about his incredible life on Instagram, you are exposed to BS every single day. So why am I a good person to teach this stuff? Because if you're really lucky in life, you figure out that you have a small handful of superpowers that other people just aren't as good at. And if you're really lucky in life, you'll have the self-awareness to recognize and use those superpowers to benefit yourself and the world. One of my superpowers just happens to be a BS detector of epic, unbelievable magnitude. I can sniff out charlatanism better than the best canine German shepherds in the world can sniff out smuggled contraband. When it comes to spotting bullshit, I'm like a savant, a human lie detector. I read body language better than I read English. This is just my gift. And now I'm going to use that gift to tell you 3 tools that will help you spot BS like I do. Tool number 1, be mad suspicious, yo. It's easy to tell when I'm suspicious of an idea or a person because I have the worst possible poker face of all time. I make this face. If I make this face, the one Miss Kate calls the suspicious eyes, it means I'm not buying whatever you're selling. Being suspicious is a very healthy way to be because people lie for their benefit at your expense all the time. We need to be prepared and vigilant at all times. That means putting on your suspicious eyes anytime somebody tells you something that you want to hear. When I was in sales, we used to say, buyers are liars and sellers are too. People tend to trust their fellow human beings quite often and quite easily. And this is not inherently a bad thing. The ability to trust and work together with a stranger is the biggest trait that separates us from the apes. Used too frivolously though, and trust will allow you to be taken advantage of. I'm not suggesting that you assume everyone is lying to you. I'm suggesting that you accept the reality that everyone can and might lie to you. The great thing about suspicion is that if you're wrong, you have no real downside. But if you're right, you can avoid who knows how much financial, mental, and emotional damage. Nassim Taleb says, when you're paranoid, you can be wrong 1,000 times and you will survive. If non-paranoid, wrong once and your genes, and the rest of your group are done. Now this quote is in reference to physical and economic survival. Our ancestors had to be super paranoid because they had far more risk than us. If the rustling bushes are just the wind, then it's fine. But if there's a predator in there, you're dead. You cannot afford to guess wrong. Similar to today, what if the guy selling you cryptomania is wrong and you lose everything because maybe he doesn't actually know what he's talking about? He definitely doesn't. A constant level of never-ending paranoia is healthy, especially if everyone is out to get you. Day 1 in the Army, they taught me a phrase that I live by. Stay alert, stay alive. The idea being that having a high degree of situational awareness to any and all potential threats is what separates you from life and death. It's also important to note that you do not want to become a nihilistic cynic either, because that just makes you think that the world is evil and people are evil. And people are not evil. People are selfish. And more often than not, they're just as dumb as you. Worse yet, con artists are always charming and likable. So the more that you like that salesperson, that politician, that media pundit, or that investor, the more likely you are to get conned. They use people's emotions against them, and the suckers love every minute of it. At its height, the Nazi Party received 33% of the vote, which was the majority party at the time. Bernie Madoff received checks totaling $64 billion from willing participants, and he did it for over 2 decades. The people of North Korea still think they are the supreme leaders of the planet, despite the fact that they live in the technological 1960s, and millions of Americans daily join pyramid schemes or buy somebody else's BS. There is a never-ending list of examples that I can give you because cons are acted out every single day against everyday people. And this is why it's so important to live by the mad suspicious yo mantra. It will save your bacon. 2, say a person is trying to tell you or sell you something and you question them about it. If they get defensive or emotional about your pushback, they are a guilty fucking liar. Period. The end. If someone isn't exploiting you for their own benefit, then they should have no problem with you asking questions, even a lot of them. When they fear you will find out that they are scamming you, that's when they get defensive, emotional, often angry, and that's when you win. If you take nothing else from this video, that is the most valuable portion of it. Charlatan ideas can't stand up to scrutiny. So he who asks a battery of questions like, who says? How do you know? What if you're wrong? What are the arguments the other side? And other open-ended questions that force the person to give you a nuanced explanation, this is where they will inevitably slip up or get angry. Good ideas, legitimate opportunities hold strong in the face of investigation, so it's healthy to be extremely rigorous in questioning things because cons won't make it through heavy skepticism. This type of pushback will usually result in the charlatan getting upset, which again is exactly what we want. We want them to show these negative emotions. Nobody will get mad about your skepticism unless they want to convince you of something that exploits you and they are frustrated that it doesn't work. To sum up, question someone until they get defensive or they tell you they don't know. The funny thing about a con or a politician is they will never tell you they don't know. If you meet somebody who tells you they don't know, they might be the most trustworthy of all. This goes for ourselves too. You don't want to be spreading bullshit to other people, do you? Then be slow in your confidence about what you think you know and fast to say you don't know. As Socrates famously said, I am the wisest man alive, for I know one thing, and that is that I know nothing. Be like Socrates. I rarely believe anything that people tell me, and I rarely need to. People can say all sorts of things. Talk is cheap. The thing you want to look for are actions and motives. What people say is irrelevant. I want to know what they actually do and what they're trying to accomplish. If I know their intent, then I know how they benefit from it. If they benefit at my expense without me knowing, that's a con. Always think about how somebody will benefit based on their actions. What's the news media's motive? To make money. How do they do that? By attracting advertisers. How do they do that? By generating clicks from users. Media outlets get paid when you click on their content. The problem is the validity of what they say is irrelevant to how much they get paid. And in fact, in our sensationalist headline and out of context sound bites culture, they make more money for feeding you more BS. That's a con. How about when somebody tells you how to invest your money? First, let's ask, why would anybody care how I invest my money? I'll tell you why they care. Because they're gonna get paid from it. 99% of people selling courses on real estate, crypto, and stocks and other stuff are making more money from selling the education than from doing the thing that they are teaching you. If the profit margin on what they were doing was higher than selling the course, they wouldn't bother selling the course. That's a con. Same for financial advisors who have been proven over and over and over and over and over. With financial advisors, the customer pays fees to the advisor, they get worse than average returns, the advisor takes zero risk, and he gets paid regardless of the returns they produce. That happens every single day in America. Google says it's a $59 billion a year industry, and it's a con in plain sight. Remember in 2006 when people said, buy real estate, it only goes up? Or the current, to the moon, crypto mania. This week, the FTC scolded Kim Kardashian for pumping out crypto advice to her 250 million followers. Kim Kardashian doesn't know shit about crypto. She was a paid advertiser to solicit. You gotta have your guard up 24/7, bro. In George Clayson's famous book, The Richest Man in Babylon, the fourth rule of gold is, gold flees the man who would force it to impossible earnings or who would follow the alluring advice of tricksters and schemers who trust to it his own inexperience and romantic desires for investment. That means, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. And both phrases are good old-fashioned BS detector wisdom. When someone promises you life-changing investment, does not explicitly explain the risk and benefits from you taking that risk, you can be sure it's a con. If you've been around me or my content for any amount of time, you have heard me rant about skin in the game. I talk about it on a daily basis. This is an easy way to separate action from words, and it's one of my personal favorites. The guy who's selling you a Nissan because it's the best car in the whole world, but he personally drives a Ford, cannot be trusted. The person who tells you to invest in something but isn't invested in it themselves is 100% conning you. As Taleb says, don't tell me what you invest in, show me what's in your portfolio. If they don't show you, it's a con. Okay, I'm stopping here because I don't want to ramble on. The last video I felt was a bit too long. I don't want to drag this on. Also, I have a ton more of these tools that I was gonna post, and I figure I'll just break this up into a couple parts. If you find it valuable, then we can make a lot of content out of this. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. Comment on other topics you want me to cover in the future. I would love if you shared this video, because once the subscriber list goes up, all I have to do is rant on the internet all day and collect that shiny YouTube money. Thank you for watching, and I will see you for the next rant.